with the technology that I get to work with and make solutions for, there should be heart and soul and art and philosophy embedded into it. I think it's the only ethical way forward.
When someone's trying to explain to me these complex issues, I need to be spoken to like a 5-year-old.
Same. And I get it.
You don't.
That is one of the most beautiful things I think about being Egyptian is this sense of identity and community.
And no one ever lets you go.
0%. For better or worse.
Totally.
For better.
Totally.
I think that we have, as Arabs, the opportunity to contribute to the things and the structures that we build.
Tell me the story. This is hilarious. You could only get this
I'm
bike.
never telling you anything
But you
ever
could only
again.
get the bike by becoming a professional? This episode is brought to you by EFG Hermes One, your one app for investing in more than 35 stock markets worldwide. Hi, I'm Malak Fuad, and welcome again to What I Did Next from A&T Media, where I sit down with a new guest each month and we take a deep dive into their lives' most pivotal moments. One of my resolutions for 2025 was to understand the world of AI better. It's a phrase that gets bandied about by everyone today and has become an umbrella term for all emerging technology. Through one of the show's first guests and good friend, Dina Al-Mufti, I met Dr. Mona Hamdy. Mona is a tech ethicist, and a lot of her current work is focused on bridging the gap between emerging technologies, AI included, and putting this to work for us and not the other way around. Here's the first part of our conversation where we talk about her pivots and how she found herself at this intersection of technology and human dignity. This is my first time filming at Tamara House.
That's right.
And we just had a nice chat with Karim Mertijian, who, funnily enough, you follow each other.
We follow each other. That's right. He's just obviously a brilliant example of the best of Egypt, the best of design, and how thoughtful he is in the spaces that he creates. And so he reached out to me a little while ago, and it's been really lovely.
Good.
And what a beautiful space.
It's amazing.
Really, really happy to be here.
And I think the plan is for it to officially open in March of next year.
Oh, so early.
Yes,
Sneak peek.
And then next time you're in town, you're going to have a room here.
It's my spot.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Karim and I are both from Al-Dahir.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So shout out to Al-Dahir people. We're a small but mighty crew. Yeah.
And then the other funny thing is that, I arrive wherever I'm filming a little early to set up with Budi and John.
Right.
And I'm wearing green. And you walked in wearing the exact same shade of green. So this is, it's kismet.
It is
It was meant to be.
That's exactly right.
So Mona, thank you for being here.
Thank you for
before we go into your amazing career, tell me a little bit about yourself, your childhood.
My mother's family is from New York. I'm a 6th-generation New Yorker. I was actually born in the same hospital in Brooklyn that my mother and my grandmother were born in. My father is Egyptian, and I always say that I would rather be half Egyptian than fully anything else in the entire world. Yeah. And they met in New York. My dad was a doctor, Khariga Ain Shams.
Yes.
He graduated from Ain Shams University here. So he went to the United States, and then you have to kind of start over.
Yes.
Right? And so he started completely over and started in New York, where my mother was from. And then as time progressed, went to Case Western Reserve in Ohio. We were in Chicago for a time, and then finally settled in California, where the bulk of my American life was there.
And your father lives where now?
La Jolla.
Oh, so he's still in the U.S.?
He's still in the U.S. He my dad splits his time between Cairo and California.
Right. Interesting.
So
my parents were also immigrants. So they left Egypt in the late 60s. And a lot of their generation did that. Some went to Canada, some went to Australia.
That's right.
They went to the States. My dad pursued his MBA there. And they stayed on for 10 years there. And I was born there. And that generation, a lot of them did that. A lot did that. But you have a really interesting, or your parents had a very interesting take on raising you.
Right.
Because they wanted you to have a bit of Egypt and a bit of the U.S.
This was a huge part of my life, is that unlike maybe other fully Egyptian third culture kids or half Egyptians like me, when I was 6 years old, my dad decided that my siblings and I would spend a year in Egypt, that it was becoming really important for him that we learn our language and our culture and our religion. And my mother brought us to Cairo. And We lived with my grandmother for a year. My mother went back to Egypt. My mother went back to the United States to stay with my dad and took my baby brother, Sharif, and my sister and I lived in Egypt with my grandmother for the entire school year. And then we would do that every other year. So 1 year with my parents and then 1 year with my grandmother for Doher.
This is an amazing story because how did you guys adapt going back and forth like that?
Well, we get asked that all the time now, and we sort of bin bustil bad, and we're like,
we just did it.
We just kind of did it. But when we think of our own children and we think of what that must have taken from my mother to that sort of, I mean, Egypt's like the final boss level of like stamina, right? Like in the 80s and stuff, especially for an American woman or for anyone, like any Egyptian who wants to come home. You have these romantic ideals of what coming home is. And we just sort of, it would be hard, I think, to think of life any other way, but it would be very hard to do. It blessed us. If it took something from us in terms of figuring out what home or identity was, it blessed us with a lot. Yeah. It gave us so much, too.
I think it was very, must have been very hard on your mom to leave you for 10 months of the year, right? Every other year.
Oh, for sure.
That's a very big sacrifice for her.
She talked about that all the time. And for us, I remember the day, I remember waking up for the first time in my life, and I knew something was different, and my mom was gone. And that began our life in Egypt, right? And we're very lucky that we have a family that was so very close-knit and that was very Egyptian. And we had a strong neighborhood that way, but
that's a tough thing.
That was a tough thing, I think.
So where did you graduate from high school? Was that in the States?
That was in the States. In the States, but I went to AIS. I went to AIS here, and the cool thing about doing that sort of your whole life, like you go to the British school, and then I went to the American schools, a year and a year. So my friends from AIS are my friends to this day because that's how Egyptians roll, right?
So that's what I wanted to tell you. So it's amazing. You have a whole network here.
Which is, I mean, that's how I know Dina Mufti, right?
Oh,
yeah, Dina's husband.
There?
Oh, 1 million
yes, you told me this.
Yeah. So Dina's husband was a few years above us, and then so it was just, and all of those people, they're still, because that is one of the most beautiful things I think about being Egyptian is this sense of identity and community.
And no one ever lets you go.
0%. I mean, for
they're
better
always
or worse,
holding on.
For better or worse,
Totally.
For better.
Totally.
I think it's one of the Sawirises, I think they talk about this all the time when they say, I could be anywhere in the world, but the people of Egypt, the weather of Egypt, the community.
It brings you back.
It brings you back. You feel really connected.
I was born and raised outside of Egypt, and I only moved here when I was 28. But I would come back for vacations. I have a huge extended family. So no one lets you go. And there's a tie, there's a bond with Egypt that is unbreakable, right? You can be anywhere in the world, and you'll still need to come back. I think it's interesting.
Right.
It's interesting.
I think that's right.
So after high school, you were in Scranton.
I was in
Scranton. You went to university there.
I went to university.
A Jesuit university.
A Jesuit university. And
tell me, why did you go that track?
Right.
I mean, we're going to talk a lot about religion and spirituality and how it intersects with your work. Right. But clearly you had an interest in that way before your career developed.
Why did I choose that? So a few things. I had a Catholic and Jesuit education, and I was exposed to that a lot when I was here in Egypt growing up. My mother's family was Catholic too. So I grew up in a home that was by its definition sort of pluralistic when it came to belief. And so I was really always, and belief, my father's religion is what brought me to Egypt. He wanted me to learn how to pray. Yeah. And I didn't understand what that meant when I was a kid. I was like, why do I have to go to Egypt, Dad? Why can't I just copy you? Right. And that was it. And that probably made him like, now you're really going to Egypt.
Yeah.
Right. But so when I got to university, I got accepted to this program called the Special Jesuit Liberal Arts Program, the SJLA. And in the Jesuit university system, you learn trivium and quadrivium. So that's grammar, logic, rhetoric.
And you talk a lot about this until today, and it informs your work.
It is the actual
basis.
It is a very deep anchor in what I feel is, I see echoes of it in every religion. I see echoes of it in the technology that we use today, which is basically that the arts and the sciences make one unified inquiry, that every single one of us has a bit of philosophy and science in them. And actually, that that the fullest creation, the fullest measure of your creation is the curiosity to understand about what's happening in your inner world and the world around you. And every religion has this, right? Every religion has the when they talk about the zenith, the height of their civilization, it is when they were contributing to all of the things, arts, music, science, engineering, invention, mathematics, all of those come from one place.
And I think it's when all of them are in balance and given the same amount of weight.
The same weight, that's right. And so I don't see much difference between the early Islamicate, between any height of any, what we would call just sort of pre-Enlightenment civilization, and even today with the technology that I get to work with and make solutions for, there should be, if we're doing it right, heart and soul and art and philosophy embedded into it. I think it's the only ethical way forward.
Yeah. And of course, I mean, this is informing very much your approach to what we're going to talk about in much more detail, which is your approach to AI. This is an area for me that, as I said, it's so new, and I feel like such a Luddite, and I feel like I'm catching up, trying to understand how it's going to be used. But I want to know how you came to become such an expert at this. So after university, what did you do? I mean, I'm just going to say this on camera because every time I would read about you, you would talk about, or when I asked you for your bio or your pivots, like everything is a pivot. You had the Mosaic Foundation was a huge pivot for you.
That's right.
2010, your crypto awakening. You studied, you worked at Harvard. I mean, help me understand this. Who you are, like, who are you?
Who are you? I know.
It's really, there's so much here.
It's so,
there's so much going on.
I definitely have not had a linear career or life
very few
progression.
People have actually, but yours is more kind of esoteric than others.
Yes, because I ended up in tech when I was really in philosophy.
But it's a wonderful grounding because with that basis, you can understand technology from a visceral point.
So to me, that was the point of arts and sciences, is that I really learned how to think and see patterns and to communicate them back, it really helped me make sense of the world around me.
So after college, you went to DC and you got a job with the Mosaic Foundation, is that right?
After I went to grad school. Before that, I'll say that one of the big, should I talk about my night job?
Yes, I love this story.
All right. So I was a young, broke college student. I'm working at a place called the Iron Skillet. It's a truck stop.
This is in Scranton.
This is right outside of Scranton. I'm in Pennsylvania. And two things happened to me that year. The first one that was really pivotal is that I'm working as a night cashier. And that means that I work from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. It's what I could fit into my schedule. And it was really quiet. And I got to read and do I did all my homework standing up by the night cashier, right? And a truck driver leaves a paperback book on the counter, and I pick it up, and it's like this weird sci-fi thing.
What was the book called?
The book's called Earthweb by Mark Stiegler. And in this book, there's a future world where every 5 years, these Shivas, these alien ships, come and attack the Earth. And the Earth prepares for it. We've now, as a planet, all other forms of governance and government have dissolved in preparation for this future world. And every human sees what evolutions these Shivas, this alien ship, has, and we all try to solve this problem together. And the solutions are broadcast to the planet, to every human, and we start fixing it together.
So the entire work of the planet is aimed on this.
Is aimed on survival. And the ideas get upvoted.
Right.
And they get bet against. And they get tested. And they get iterated in real time in front of the entire planet. So it doesn't matter if you are the son of a VVVVVIP or the orphan daughter of a fish farmer. If your idea is good and it will save the world, boom. it goes up.
Yeah.
And so I'm reading this, I get sucked into this book, right? And it teaches me that there is a world that has a future currency that doesn't require any intermediaries, that there's a place where all ideas can be put on these markets of prediction, and that we can, as a species, come together in a way that is infinitely scalable to solve something that we all face.
Had you been a sci-fi fan anyway, or was...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you had? Okay.
Oh, I was a giant nerd.
Okay.
Yeah, I had like braces. I was a little chubby.
Yeah.
I was a big
Because
Star
sci-fi
Trek.
is its own
Oh,
beast,
yeah.
right?
I still am to this day a giant nerd. In fact, so much so that a few years later, my geek friends in California, as I'm a young mom at the time, introduced me to this paper that this group or person had created about a kind of digital way to share value without requiring any intermediary in a fully transparent marketplace that could not be changed or tampered with. And we call that today the Satoshi White Paper. It was the very first examination of a kind of problem, a coordination problem that had been that had been very effectively solved by this technology. And it was the beginning of what we call Bitcoin.
Interesting.
And so because I had been the night cashier and I read about this tech being used, or these technological future solutions, I didn't understand the Satoshi White Paper, but I knew that it was doable.
But that's serendipity, right? You were there and that you picked up that book.
I mean, I think so. And then I had a bunch of geek friends who were saying like, this Bitcoin thing's pretty cool. You should read this.
But that was
like
so many more years later.
That was like a decade later.
Yeah.
And because I had read the book,
you connected the two.
I got it. I got the two because I had in my head a very human example of something technical and technological that I didn't understand. It actually took me a few years to read that paper.
Interesting.
With skill. So in the intermediary time, I came back to Egypt. My very first sustainable development and philanthropic job that was a huge pivot for me was in Egypt. I was helping my friend Yasmin Shahata. She has Enigma magazine. And she said, there's this foundation here in Zamalek and they need some help with some tech stuff, some data entry. This is Sawiris Foundation.
Oh.
Mrs. Yosreya Sawiris ran, and her family had started the Development Foundation.
That's right.
And they needed geek help.
Yeah.
And so I was there doing geek help.
Number crunching in the back.
Exactly. And I got to see, and this was a huge pivot and something that still anchors my work, is that every social development initiative that sticks has a viable market strategy. That if it addresses something in a market, it will work.
So you mean it has to be able to be monetized?
I mean, maybe not. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So
because if you want it to have legs and work long term,
and if you wanted to, I mean, when we say monetize, I think I just that word.
That word, it's too capitalistic.
It feels so dirty.
It feels too capitalistic.
Well, because it is, but it is, right? Because it made me a very strong believer in the fact that we can use markets in a way for good, because they'll either address problems. They'll identify problems, address them, and resolve them. And I saw them doing that with that development foundation. It was fantastic to me that they were using a sort of catalyst for spurring certain industries to apply to certain verticals that were needed.
I think also Egypt is such an amazing test for a lot of technologies, exactly like what we were talking about at the beginning. There is a need here to solve real-world problems.
Yeah.
Just the garbage situation, for example.
Right.
You create products or you fundamentally rethink an industry to solve real world problems.
Yes.
And you have to do that because it's a question of life and death.
Oh, I love that.
You know what I mean? You have real population problems. So it's a wonderful test case.
And I love the trash stuff.
Yeah.
I do have to say, because I'm always concerned with this idea of circularity.
Exactly. And I don't know if it's a part of our DNA as a people, but I think it's, we never throw anything away in Egypt. Everything gets reused in some way, People
who are faced with the consequences of life every day are very resourceful all over the world.
And a poverty issue, which also means that you have to use everything available.
Right. But I do think that philosophy is inherently also transforms over time. When you become not impoverished, it becomes part of the ethos that stays with you.
Absolutely.
Like as Arabs,
absolutely,
even the garments that we wear are because everything had a utility. Our societies are formed because everyone had a utility.
And I think old societies also have a deep sense of the need to preserve.
Yes,
You
I
know,
hope so.
heritage,
Right.
you want to hand it down. I mean, we are one of the oldest civilizations, and so it's inherent in how we view our space around us, you know?
Isn't that interesting? Because I think there was a time where this idea that preserving something might be too idolatrous of the physical world. Isn't it interesting that we live now in a time where I believe we are seeing, very much like my father did when he realized as a young immigrant to America that he had to preserve his culture for his children. I think that we are doing that as a species, that we're saying in this digital space, we have to preserve what it is that makes us us.
When we come back after the break, Mona tells me that she believes the Middle East will be a key contributor to the new AI-driven world. That's coming right up. This episode is brought to you by EFG Hermes One, your one app for investment across more than 35 stock markets worldwide. With EFG Hermes One, you can buy and sell orders in real time for immediate execution across multiple global markets. You can keep track of your favorite stocks by creating and customizing multiple watch lists and make informed investment decisions with their advanced technical analysis tools to study market trends and investor behavior. So supercharge your financial journey and download the EFG Hermes One app on the Apple App Store and on Google Play and start investing today. Welcome back to the first part of my conversation with tech ethicist and innovator Dr. Mona Hamdy. When you look at your career, just like looking back so far,
Right.
Do you consider yourself a risk taker, or do you have a sort of a mission in mind? Do you have like a linear goal? Like, I want to get there. Or is it just the winding path where it leads you?
I've never had a plan. I don't even know. And I feel that when I talk to youth now, when kids come to Harvard or anybody's, everyone's asking me what their children should study. I'm like, study the thing that teaches you how to think.
Absolutely.
And
the thing you love.
Because we don't know what's coming next. And it's like, how are you going to make money is really the big question. How are my children going to survive? What are you going to study? And I think you'll be okay, I hope.
Yeah.
I think now I have very specific, I'm a little bit more rigid.
Yeah, and I think with age, because you've had experience, you've had so much experience, you've eliminated things in your mind.
Right.
I'm not going back to that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Ooh, should have never done that. Whoa.
Totally. I feel like that too.
You're like, uh-oh.
Exactly. And you know what you're good at as well, right?
And you know what you do and you know what you don't want to do, which is probably the good thing about getting a little patina on you.
I think I'm a little older than you, but I think that it's such a great phase of life because you're in the driver's seat and you decide what you want. No one's going to tell you anything.
Right.
And if you don't like it, take another path.
Right.
You know?
I think that's right. And so had my path not been so windy, I don't think that I would have ever really made the connection between humans and technologies and the places where they intersect, our markets, and how valuable all of those components are, how they really can shape the outcomes that we wish to see. Mm-hmm. I've had the opportunity to be able to watch how those kind of interpolate and how they maybe play together, that it's now the crux of my life.
Yeah.
Right?
So after Mosaic, what happened next for you?
I went to Harvard.
Right. So you went to Harvard as a graduate student?
I went to Harvard as a graduate student.
So what age are you by now?
Ooh.
You're like in your late 20s by now?
No, I'm in my early 30s.
In your early 30s.
I'm a single mom.
Right.
I got married pretty young.
Okay.
I was, before I moved to Washington, D.C.,
right out of college,
was married.
Then.
Right out of college.
Okay.
I was married and I had, when I moved to Washington, I was married and I had 2 of my 3 children.
So you had your first child at what, like 21?
Yes.
Wow, Mona.
I was a kid.
That's a baby.
I was a baby, which is probably why I'm divorced.
No, not necessarily. I know a lot of...
Don't, just to edit that out. That was from Alex. Don't.
I know a lot of people who married very young, didn't. I know a lot of people married very late, got divorced.
So there's like, no, see.
Yeah, but backtrack a minute. So you were in DC?
I'm in DC. I go to Riyadh.
Before that, you went to do your master's at Harvard?
No, I did my master's at AUC.
Oh, wow, Mona, I'm confused.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. You came back to Cairo?
When I was working for the Sawiris Foundation.
But then you said you went to Harvard.
I went to Harvard for my PhD,
For your
in
PhD.
2016.
And that was 2016.
2016.
This is when your kids are very young.
My kids are very young and I leave Saudi. Like we finished in Saudi. We're in Saudi from 2009 to 2016. In 2016, the project gets really big and it grows.
Right.
And I have 3 small children.
Sure.
And it's time for me to
think about them.
Think about them and me.
So what did you do at Harvard?
Well, I took a very long break.
But you did a PhD?
I read a lot. I did a PhD in ethics.
In ethics as a overarching subject, or ethics and tech?
Ethics, and it's called applied ethics. I have a very narrow focus on how technology and humans are co-evolving.
Mm.
So I looked very closely at what systems in technology and what human systems do when they interact with one another. And this became really interesting to what would become AI and regulations around AI. And it became very interesting for markets. Because, and for people who invest and for economists, because that's really what they do, is really understand how humans move. And so I was really looking at how humans move in a digital space, and can you put texture on that? Can we know, and our technology, we know, can tell us what people care about and how much they care about it. Well, and I got to do this as a disciple of what we call the Harvard Divinity School. So I got to really focus on things that make us us and our belief systems, while looking at very technical ways that we make decisions in the digital space.
And when did you finish your PhD?
Last year.
2016 until 2024. Wow. And during that period, you obviously were doing other things as well.
Yes.
It wasn't just that.
Yeah, I like almost dropped out 11 million times.
I'm sure.
I was raising my children. COVID happened. I took pauses to take on new projects. I started looking at, the investing world really seriously. I was advising a few funds, a few accelerators while I was doing that. It was part of like my field work.
Right. Yeah. But it fed into your PhD as well.
For sure.
I want to talk about your mom. And I want to talk about your mom, firstly, during those early years when you had your young kids and you were shuttling a little bit between Saudi and the US. And, she played a pivotal role in providing that grounding for them.
My mom sure did. When you look at when people say, oh, you've done a lot, or it's nonlinear, there's no way I could have done that without my mother.
Especially as a single mom.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I was able to hold down a house, start a company or two, fail at a company or two, start school, finish school, take on a new project, or 2 or 3, because my mom was at home.
Yep.
My mom really raised me and my children after my divorce. There's no way that I would have been able to do that, even with all the support in the world, without my mother holding that down. So
she was a huge part of all that.
For sure, because I was able to travel to Saudi and come back, or go to Boston and come back, or,
And you trust your mom blindly, as most of us do. And you don't worry at all.
You don't worry. Yeah. There's nothing on the back burner, as opposed to every other person.
Of course.
Or every other situation where they're always taking up some of that processing.
Of course. You didn't have
There's
that.
no way. My mom gave me like a second or a third childhood. Yeah. She gave me the ability to actually freely explore the world, because she was able to help me with my children and help me hold down my house.
I don't like this expression, but it's apt now, is it takes a village.
It
literally does in every case. I don't think anyone can do anything on their own.
Oh, for sure. No, for sure.
She passed last year.
My mother passed away last year.
Can we talk about that a little bit? What did she pass away from?
My mother, she passed away from lung cancer.
Lung cancer.
It was aggressive and quick. Yeah. Between 1 year and the next, we discovered that some of the aches and pains were more than just aches and pains. I think women are very bad at acknowledging their aches and pains and taking it seriously.
We absorb them, don't we?
Right. Yeah. So this is an invitation to take it seriously.
And did you pause, and did the roles reverse?
Oh, For sure. I was in Riyadh
Yeah.
when my brother was at Cleveland Clinic with my mom, and he said, "Mom has lesions on her bones." And that's all I heard. And so I got on the next plane. There was a dinner that they were having, and I looked at Ron and I said, you have to take my bag back because
I have to leave.
I have to leave, and I'm about to do like it's not easy to get to Cleveland from Riyadh. So yeah, so I did that thing, and then I stayed in Ohio. That was Mother's Day, and I stayed with my mother there it was just a few months until she passed in July.
I think it's a blessing that your children were old enough that they didn't need your care on a daily basis, that you had that ability to be there for her.
My children are a blessing. My family is a blessing. We all stopped our worlds. We just, every single one of us flew into Cleveland as we could. We just had a very open door policy. And I lived with my mom. I lived in the chair right next to my mom.
I think we're blessed when we have families like that. Yeah.
I think so. Oh, it's so funny that you say that, Malik, because I became really aware of the people on the floor who didn't have that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And my mother was too.
Really?
Every day I would bring her some flowers or something. Her room looked like Jumanji, right? And she would be like, "Go take that to Mr. So-and-so. He didn't have any." She knew.
Yeah.
That was my mother.
She was obviously a very empathetic woman.
Oh, my goodness. You know what people
Emotional
say now?
intelligence.
Allah yarhamha. What people say what they say about her now to a man. When people come to me and my siblings and talk to us about our mother, they say she was so easy to talk to. And I've really tried to embody that when I look at tech, and I speak to a lot of youth, is that I try to make sure that I can be very easy to talk to. For the technology to work and to fit a culture, you have to meet people where they are very honestly.
If you remember to the beginning of our interview, when I told you, I find the way you talk to be a really very easy to understand. And so you're obviously succeeding in that, right?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. For me, I'm not technological in any way. Right. So when someone's trying to explain to me these complex issues, I need to be spoken to like a 5-year-old.
Same. And I get it.
You don't, akid
trust
so,
me. I'm always like,
but it's a skill, Mona. It's not easy because you're obviously working on a different plane to most people because you're dealing with, technologies that are so advanced, and you're dealing on a B2B level with people that get what you're saying. But to talk to a layperson, to be able to come down to earth and explain it, maybe that's one of your mom's, maybe that's something you learned from her, And there's an emotional intelligence there as well, by the way, because you're reading the room, right? And you're able, and she obviously had that.
I try to do that. I think that, if you do it right, you make people make sense, or you make sense to people, right?
In 10 years, though, where do you see your work? Are you going to narrow down? Are you going to go wider? Where do you see yourself going?
Well, I think that this is probably the calling of my life.
Yeah.
There's two very strong things. I had the opportunity in the United States to work with the families of children who used technology in ways that harmed them.
Yes, I remember reading that.
And that was hugely pivotal in why I think that our part of the world has so much to offer. Because I think that without a very deep anchoring, that these technologies, if left without a sort of compass, can hurt us. There were children, because of use of social media or language models, who killed themselves inadvertently. Yes. And I think that means that there's a real danger that someone has to speak about. And I think that our culture has given us so much anchoring into who we are and what I would call as a human dignity, that I would like to see us share that as a framework, an ethical framework for how these technologies should serve humanity. I want to, and I have and will dedicate my life to that, to speaking very honestly and very plainly with people about where they are and about where our society is, and helping build that future in that way. That's one.
I love it.
And the other is really around, again, that idea of inherent dignity.
Yeah.
As the world changes, as our tools change the way that we make our societies, that we derive value from our societies, we have a very real opportunity and a very real gap between people who have access and people who don't. And it will widen.
Yes.
And so when I see things like financial literacy and solvency and being wise with our resources, there is a responsibility to ensure that these infrastructures and that these technologies are built with good intentions. Niyya. I think that we have, as Arabs, the opportunity to contribute niyya to the things and the structures that we build. And so between those two things is where I think I'll see myself for the rest of my life.
I want to end with the lightning round. And this is
the scariest
part. Fun.
Yes.
So I'm going to shoot out some things to you, and you're just going to don't overthink it. Just say.
Just say the thing. Oh God, it might be dirty.
No, it won't be dirty. Don't worry.
I'm a bad human.
This is a PG show.
والله مو قرفة.
PG-13 show.
كلنا. بس ما بنقولش.
You ready? Okay. Public speaking or one-on-one?
One-on-one.
If you had to choose another profession, what would it be?
If I had to choose another profession, what would it be? Interior designer.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Interesting.
I love textiles. It's what my daughter's studying.
Interesting.
Thank God.
I like that. It's so different.
I know.
It's tangible.
I build stuff. I do get to do
Tangible.
it, but it's tangible. I love the physical world.
Favorite activity?
Favorite activity? I have so many.
Well, you trained to be a fitness instructor just because you wanted to get a bike or something. This is a hilarious story.
My favorite activity is moving my body.
So tell me, tell me the story. This is hilarious. You could only get this bike.
I'm never telling you anything ever again.
But you could only get the bike by becoming a professional?
It's yes, it's called gyrotonics, and you can only get the device if you become certified. So I did the apprenticeship so that I can have the equipment.
So you don't do things by half?
No, I always
100%.
I love I am that guy. Or that lady.
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah.
So I do. I love to find new ways to move my body.
Yeah. Least favorite activity?
Paying taxes.
2 more things.
Yes.
You're going to finish the sentence. I have a hard time.
I have a hard time being patient.
And are you impatient with everything in your life or work or?
See, I'm a pretty patient person, but I think it's because I have a hard time being patient.
That's hilarious.
That I work on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you're conscious of it?
I mean, yes, it hurts, right? I'm like, oh, this sucks.
You want to run, you want to hurry up.
God made me have the trial. Yeah. So what do I have a hard time doing? I have a hard time being patient.
Okay, fair enough. Last one. I get joy from?
I get joy from being around people. I get joy from solving problems. I get joy from solving problems.
I can see that. Coming up on part 2 of our conversation, I pick Mona's brains on the future of AI. Does she feel we can harness it, or have we unleashed something we don't really understand? And how does the emerging world prioritize its adoption? All that and more is coming out next week, so stay tuned. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave me a comment on either Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or on our Instagram page. Thank you for joining me on What I Did Next. I'm Malak Fuad, and this episode was produced by Chirag Desai. You can watch full video episodes of the show on YouTube and on Spotify, as well as getting audio versions on Apple Podcasts and all other podcast players. We'll continue the AI conversation in 2 weeks' time, where I'll be bringing together some of our old guests who are discussing this subject, including Mo Gaudat, actor Rami Youssef, and advertiser Tariq Noor. I hope you can join me for that.